yourselves for the best in synthwave with Karen Zoe Lee.
Good evening from Seattle. It is Karen Zoe Lee. I've got a panel tonight, don't I? I've got Alex Lightspeed. He just dropped his Crimson Sunset tonight, and he's going to be kicking off his tour in Portland tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week. Next week. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. And so I brought him on the show, and he's got 3 other people on stage with him. 3 of them can make it. Anyway, it's going to be a stacked party line and an exciting show and a wonderful release. I'm telling you that already, so pick it up if you can. But first I want to play you a track from Alex Lightspeed's Crimson Sunset, Evil Arcade. There's a music video out for this, and I want you to go check that out after the show. After this, here's Alex Lightspeed with Evil Arcade. And that was Evil Arcade by Alex Lightspeed, the first single off of his Crimson Sunset release. And of course, my guest of the hour is Mr. Alex Lightspeed himself. Hello, sir. How are you?
How are you doing today?
Thanks for joining me. And you've brought everyone that's going to be with you on stage?
Well, I have brought the entire Most Excellent Band, as we're calling them now, and as well as my co-producer for the album, Super Sapien, known as Todd Daggett.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
He doesn't tour with us, but he is my partner in crime in the studio and really way more responsible for a lot of this than he may get credit for some days. So he's here.
Hello, Todd.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
We have Nathan Whited, and he is doing lead guitar and some singing on the tour, as well as he did all the live instrumentation, recording, and processing for the album. He did the arrangement for Turbo Transistor, the version that's on the album.
Hi, Nathan.
Hey, what's up?
Good to meet you. I'm going to be at the Seattle show. Can't wait to meet y'all.
Oh, heck yeah. Nice.
That's exciting.
And who's that?
Yeah, this is Siren Nephilim, and otherwise known as Amber Dawn, and she is doing our backup singing as well as doing some lead singing on some covers in the tour, and she was in the video for Evil Arcade because she sang with me on that track.
Right on. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And finally, I know that name. I've seen that name, Mr. Neon Syndicate.
Hello.
Hello. So you're going to be on this tour too?
Yes. That's actually pretty cool. I'm going to fly all the way from Italy, and it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Right on. So today is July 28th, and Crimson Sunset has just dropped on us. So we can find that on, where's that, Alex? Bandcamp for sure. That's where I get everything of mine.
Yeah, and interestingly on Bandcamp, it's going to be through Rosa Corsa Records Bandcamp. There is a link on my Bandcamp to it, but it's if you want to get directly to it, rosacorsarecords.bandcamp.com is the best way. But of course, it'll also be on all your favorite streaming services. Should hit Spotify and you can get it on iTunes or Amazon Music or probably Pandora. Eventually.
Right on. Next Thursday, you're going to be in Portland. Is that the first show?
Today, actually, we're playing a record release show at the Music Millennium in Portland, where we're having new copies of the CD with the Neon Syndicate remix of DEFCON Zero added to it that we have just made. And we'll be playing kind of a shorter set there, but the official start of the tour is going to be August 4th at the Coffin Club in Portland, and that's where you can see us play a full set with a real PA and lighting and such.
Yeah, both of the Portland shows are actually going to be on a Thursday, surprisingly, but we're still excited.
Yeah, it's still going to be a good turnout. Coffin Club's a really good venue.
It's my favorite bar.
Yeah. And then the very next day, you're going to be up here with me in Seattle at Aura.
Yeah, we've heard lots of good things about Aura. I'm excited to get to use that space that's so new. I've seen some really cool lighting designs for that venue, and we expect that this could be the most spectacular visually show of the tour. And we're playing a 75-minute set there.
Oh, nice.
It's just a bummer that Mike isn't going to be there after all, but we're going to miss him. He's got some serious stuff going on in his life, so...
Speaking of that says Mike Adams, that he was the guest guitarist for our track Nightbreak, and he performs that crazy solo that it probably could only have been written by him. And he lives in the Seattle area, so he was gonna come down and play it live for everyone, but there's some family issues and he may be out of town, so we'll have to do without him, but it will be a spectacular show, I'm sure. Gabriel's gonna fill in.
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if anybody could tackle the Mike solo, it's Gabriel.
Try my best. This is the point.
No pressure, dude.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. I tried to break it down. I was like, no, I can't do this.
Oh, well, shout out to Mike.
Well, it's just a testament to the artistry, that went into it. I think that sometimes, we all have different things we bring to the table. And that's one of the things I really concentrated on this album more than any other music production I've done over the last 20 years is how can I bring everybody's strengths to the table without feeling like I need to do every piece or every part. If I just want the music to be the most it can be, how do I do that?
The most excellent.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So I brought all these people together, and I mean, that's really my major role. I don't ever let everyone tell you that I like ran this show and figured out everything, because that's just not the truth.
Well, it is your name on the project, so you must have a clear vision for what you wanted out of it.
He is very multifaceted. He does a lot of work all the time, and it can get overwhelming doing it all by yourself. So it's an honor to be able to work with someone who is so talented and just needs a few outlets to help get the creativity out.
That's wonderful.
It's very nice of you to say, Amber. I tend to be a little bit shy about my own ego sometimes, and
you're humble.
I think that it's important to not overwhelmingly take credit in something that you have worked with the support of others, you know. I did have a very clear vision for this project and this album, and that is probably the best or most reasonable reason why it's my name on the front cover, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's always been his artist name anyways. He used to, well, still could and does manage a production company, and that's how we know each other from that relationship.
Awesome. So how long has this Alex Lightspeed been in the making?
Well, are we talking about the Crimson Sunset LP here, or are we talking about the
everything, the Pulsar stuff, Lightspeed?
I started getting very interested in electronic music and DJing probably 2010, maybe 2009 actually, and I had been going to like rave and EDM events for the previous 10 years. So I was still like, even then I would have been like 25, 26 years old, and I had many experiences at events and parties. But at that time, I was in a grunge rock band that also had keyboards, because always keyboards, but called the Degenerate Era. And I was doing, live shows as like a rock band thing, where I was sort of the front man and guitarist, singing and stuff. And the drummer that I had at the time was a very close friend, and probably the best musician of the group. And he actually had a brain tumor, and he was, getting sicker and sicker. And as he couldn't actually remember the riffs and some of the stuff anymore, like I felt like I couldn't really even play the guitar for a while. We stopped playing as a band, and I needed a musical outlet. I needed something else that I could kind of like focus on, to not focus on the fact that one of my best friends was dying, And so I turned to kind of electronic music and started DJing, and we started like a little production company that with some friends, where we started to throw EDM parties and hired DJs to play those events. And one of those people that we hired pretty early on was Todd, who goes by Deformaty when he's producing harder EDM. And so when I met him, he mentioned that he was actually producing his own music, and he invited me over to learn a little bit about production. And after kind of sitting down with him and making something together, I became addicted to producing electronic music and working on like making new stuff. And that would have probably been in about 2012. So that at that point, I was known as Alex Lightspeed to everybody. I had been named that at some point by some of my friends due to my erratic ADD nature of like rushing around and doing lots of things at once, but also being late to everything. And so they thought it was funny. So they call me Lightspeed, and I just endorsed it. Became my name for everything, as far as like whenever I DJ'd, and then everyone would just call me Lightspeed most of the time. And eventually, when I had children about 7 or 6 years ago, I changed my name to Lightspeed, so that me and my wife decided that we would all change our name to Lightspeed, so that we would all have the same last name. And so my daughter
your legal name now
is my legal name, and so
That's
my
awesome.
daughter is Infinity Lightspeed.
That's so cool.
So, yeah.
And your son is Titan.
Titan Lightspeed and Infinity Lightspeed. Those are
That is the best.
I do love their names, and we get a kick out of registering from them for school and things like that. So that's been fun. I always had a love for 80s stuff, so I was real obsessed with the 80s for a long time. And
he was going to name his son Rubik's Cube, and his daughter was going to be Simon or Atari.
I was actually trying to name my son Legend, but my wife vetoed Legend Lightspeed. I was like, but he's legendary. See, don't.
Titan's a good compromise.
It was a good. I love his name, and she probably was looking out for his best interest, honestly. But yeah, about 2015, I saw when Kung Fury came out, and that's when I became aware that people, and I guess that's really late in sort of the synthwave game for some people, but I didn't know that anybody was doing it. I didn't know anybody was using 80s drums and old synthesizers to make new music that was really dancey and also electronic influenced. And when I heard that, it changed me. I started obsessively listening to it all the time as a Pandora station whenever I was working, but nobody else I knew listened to it. So I was just it was my little private thing. I would do, and people were like, what is this? And I was like, well, we can change it if you want. It's everything I've been listening to lately. So eventually, we've done a lot less of these rave and EDM events, and when the pandemic hit, we had to stop entirely. And so I was looking for other things to do with all these 10 years of skills of production that me and Todd have been working on. And me and my wife started a YouTube channel, and we do 80s automotive restoration and modification, mostly with Pontiac Fieros. That channel's called Lightspeed Fieros, which is kind of why my Instagram name is all messed up. It's like Lightspeed Fieros, but also Alex Lightspeed. When we need background music for that, otherwise YouTube will demonetize you if you just put random things in the background. I was like, well, I know how to make music, so I will make, it's 80s cars, I'm going to make synthwave. I've always wanted to make synthwave, and came to Todd and talked to him about that. And before I could even get into the studio, Todd literally sends me the next day an early version of a track that's on the record. It's called Neon Triangles. And he's like, bam, I already did it. I was just like, what? You get just wait for me to get there. It was brilliant to me. I really love that track, and it's evolved a lot since then. So my name is on it, as well as I've edited it quite a bit. And Gabriele is now a soloist on that track. That's right. But originally it was the intro to my YouTube channel. eventually I would get lots of comments to be ask people, hey, what is this music? Like, who is it? Where can I download it? And I was just like, well, you can't download it anywhere actually, because I have never released it and I wasn't planning to. And I guess you can listen to it while I talk over it. But that was my first inclination. I was like, actually, there might be something to this. Like, people seem to be interested in it. Maybe I should make it into something more. And there's probably only like 4 or 5 tracks back then, and they were different than they are on the album today. If you end up going back and watching my YouTube channel, you'll hear weird versions of what we'll see now, like weird versions of a lot of the tracks from the album on there, even in like 2019. This concept kind of became an obsession with me, listening to vinyl LPs, thinking about the whole lost art of listening to an album from beginning to finish, and the fact that, when you're on vinyl, there's like a pause in the middle, and that pause can be used very deliberately as like a kind of stay-ons in the music, so that there's actually 2 like real complete thoughts and segments. I probably collected 150 records, and only about 20 of them are synthwave right now, but I'm still collecting vinyl, even though it's kind of that's expensive habit that sometimes I maybe should slow down on. I wanted to make a vinyl LP, and I was prepared to press it myself, because I was like, well, I'll pay $1,500 to have this press just so that I can do that accomplishment. It's an accomplishment I've always wanted in my life, is to release like a legitimate like album that I can be proud of, that can, on some media that I feel like can last or stand the test of time. And that just evolved. My obsession with making this vinyl LP like continued to evolve until it caught the attention of somebody who was already my friend at the time, which was Garrett Hayes, otherwise known as Laserhawk. And a lot of people don't know this, but he also works, or he co-owns Rosa Corsa. As far as I can understand, they don't really tell me the power structure, but he seems like he co-owns Rosa Corsa with me. He's like, do you want to put this on Rosa Corsa? And I said, are you joking? Is that an option? Like, you've been listening to this album while I've been making it for a whole year, because we just chat about our kids and stuff, like I've been kind of friends with them online for a couple of years. I tried to book him in maybe 2018 or so for like one of my rave fires. I was like, you want to play in front of lots of people, and I want people to know what synthwave is. And he's like, I don't want to play in front of anybody, actually. We just became friends. I just stayed in touch with them and talked about, the most random stuff that's not music. And eventually he said, this is really good. Like, I bet Michael would love this. I'm like, who's Michael? And he said, oh, Miami Nights. It's like, I say, where I was like, there's that pause where you're like, okay, so Miami Nights is going to hear my album. Like, I'm not ready for that. But, he's actually a brilliant and real nice guy. I've been very supportive of the album the entire time, and couldn't do this without him.
Wow. Yeah, he's a legend. Laserhawk too.
Yeah, it is the label of legends as far as synthwave is kind of concerned. I hope that maybe one day an artist looks at us and like thinks what I think about them.
We were originally going to release the album on our record label that Alex and I run, Bad Kill Records and Mad Chill Records, and that was the original intent. And then he had spoken with Laserhawk, and I was driving around one day, and he gives me a call, and he's just like, I don't want to get your hopes up or anything, but I think we're going to assign the record to Rosa Corsa, and I was just hoping that's okay with you. I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Yeah, of course. Like, why are you even asking me? Just do it.
I tend to be very concerned about everyone being happy when they're contributors to the album, and sometimes that's necessary.
Seems like you guys had an agreement anyway. So you're just being considerate of Todd's feelings, and I feel like it was the right thing to do.
Alex is a very thoughtful dude, so you can always count on him to really consider everyone else around him.
Agreed.
Yeah, almost to a fault, I would say.
Other than that, he's a total douche.
I just wanted to add in to that we're celebrating my 30th birthday on August 4th at the Portland stop. So just wanted to throw it in there in case people want to come and party and celebrate.
Goodness, if I wasn't a mother, I would love to.
Well, in Seattle, maybe we'll see you there. That's good enough.
Actually, I'm going to be DJing that night at the Seattle show on the same set.
So yeah, we'll definitely see you there. Yeah,
we're definitely going to see her. As I think she's going to be playing right after we get off stage, as well as the fact that he is hard to miss at future function and yes, production events. She's definitely very visible.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, right.
Visible?
You're going to be by the merch table. You're going to be talking to the artists. You're going to be talking with Elizabeth, the promoters. Like, you're not just like sitting in the background having a beer. You're involved.
She's like radio host, visible.
Visible? What the hell does that mean, Alex?
Whoa, guys! Like,
I think you need to leave.
You can see me.
What are you DJing there?
I'm just gonna do a synthwave mix.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. So tell me how you got involved with the other artists on Crimson Sunset.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think that the first thing that I'll try to do it in order, I think. And the first thing that happened was I was producing the LP and with Todd. So Todd's always been involved, and he was going to be involved regardless, because we were working on the LP, and we probably had 8 tracks put together in some state at that point, and I still had an inclination that I wanted to do a little bit more with it. But normally once we finish a track, we don't really go, in previous instances, we haven't gone back a lot and added anything or changed anything to it. So this was kind of a deviation of protocol for me, where I was like, I'm going to open up tracks that we have worked on in months, and I'm going to edit them. I'm going to change them for the album, and he's like, oh, okay, I don't know, and I was down in Eugene visiting my friend who was at Lexi, and her husband Blake showed me a video, and it was a video of this guy playing guitar over synthwave, and he was just like melting the keys off the board on tracks that we already knew, like in this case I was listening to some Carpenter Brute that I think I was listening to Turbo Killer. If you type in Turbo Killer guitar to any YouTube, as far as I have ever told, that he is the number one video for that, if you want to see what we were seeing that day at that moment. But it was turned out to be life-changing, because he's just like, check out this guy. He's like, and I was like, this guy is amazing. And I looked at, no offense, Gabriel, I looked at your subscriber count, and I was, at first I was like, there's no way this guy would ever work with us. This guy's like very, very talented, and I kind of very humble as like myself. But then when I saw his subscriber count, it's like 900 subscribers at that point. I was like, I know what it's like to have 900 YouTube subscribers. I'm like, you want to get bigger, you want to expand. It's nerve-wracking to like try to break that 1,000 subscriber barrier. Mm-hmm. I bet you he will respond to my message. That's what I told Blake. I was like, and he's like, I don't know, man. I was like, hey, it doesn't hurt to try. So I reached out to Gabriel on a couple platforms. I think it took like a few days or a week before we could actually connect in like a more direct fashion. But I said, hey, I really like what you do, and I believe, are you writing this stuff, these solos, yourself? I think you are, and he's, you can chime in, Gabriel, if I get this wrong. My memory could be different, right? Mm-hmm. So he said, oh yeah, I write it all myself. I also produce my own music, kind of thing. And so I checked out some of that, and we started sharing a few ideas. And I said, well, I don't know if you'd be interested in collaborating on something, but I got this album I'm putting together. I think it's going to be pretty good. And, but maybe it could be even better with some fire guitar.
Yeah, I remember that. You did actually send me the link to some of the demo songs, the not yet finished ones. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I thought those were the finished songs. They sounded so good to me, because you contacted me at the point where, of course, the channel was and still is rather small, but every now and then I do get a message from someone saying, hey, I like your soloing style, would you like to play a solo on my record or something? Happened a couple of times. And so I always want to make sure I listen to that person's material, because it's got to be something I can vibe to, I can enjoy playing on, and it has to have great quality, right? Because you always want to collaborate with someone who can, help you get better yourself. So, and I listened to these tracks and was like, okay, I want to play a solo on every single one of them, which of course is crazy. But we started with just one. I think it was Falkor was the first one, right?
Yeah, Falkor was the first one, and honestly, and the reason Falkor was the first one is that the Falkor is a lower key track, as not lower in tone, but just it lacks some of the intensity of the rest of the album. And I was feeling like I wanted to spice it a little bit, and I just felt like Gabriele could fit in really well there. And it was still very unknown to me, but I said, well, let's try this one because this one needs it the most.
Yeah.
Todd will remember when we finally got those wave files back from Gabriele and just were sitting in the DAW, like adding those into the project. And I think that's when it clicked for me and probably for him too, as we're looking at each other. I'm like, this is some synergy here.
For sure. I mean, the moment you sent me those tracks, because for my particular style of soloing, what works best is something which is powerful and melodic. I mean, Falkor was just perfect. It was like, if you want to give me a track that I feel comfortable soloing on and that I will probably be able to give my best, and that would be the one. So it was instant love for me, and I enjoyed soloing on that so much. And even now, I'm practicing, of course, all of the songs to be ready for the tour, and Falkor is one of my favorite ones still to this day, even though there is a very long set.
Falkor is definitely the favorite of mine that you did. When he's like, I found a guitarist to put over the tracks, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. And then he's like, okay, we got the draft back. You want to listen to it? He's like, I think it's pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see, dude. And then we were sitting in the studio and he played it, and I kind of looked at him and he looked at me, and I was like, oh, this is really good. This is I was like, this like made the whole track. I was like, is he gonna do more? And like, I think so. I'm like, okay, now I'm an eager beaver. very happy to have you, Gabriel, and
It's an honor.
yeah, we're gonna have so much fun when you get here on the States. We're gonna
Hell yeah.
Woohoo!
party like it's 1987, dude.
Party like before you were born, Gabriel.
Yeah.
How did you meet Nathan? Or I mean, how did he get part of the album?
I forced him in and begged him to do it at Todd's extreme opposition, and just kept working at it until it made sense. Now
I gotta butt in and say I wasn't extremely opposed to Nathan. I was opposed to like slamming more stuff into the album because I was like, don't you feel like
You're like, no, change.
I know. I was like, dude, I feel like it's really good, and I'm afraid if we keep adding stuff, there's a certain point in creativity where you get like this apex of a project, and it's right where you want it. If you start adding more stuff to it, it kind of starts on the other side of the parabola, right? It's like starts getting so it gets really good, and then you just keep stuffing things into it, and then it just gets worse and worse. So that was always my fear for the album, is we were going to overproduce it. We were gonna get too much, and it was going to lose the original vision. Turned out really good. I'm really happy with everything that Nathan has contributed, and he's really proven to be a valuable asset on the entire project.
Thanks, man.
the way I know that a project is done is when both Nathan and Todd are in agreement that they're happy with it. Like,
yeah, we're both very opinionated people. Yeah.
One of the reasons I really wanted Nathan involved is that I've known Nathan for over 20 years, and he has always been the guy that I'm trying to keep up with. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses of whatever musical project Nathan is doing when it comes to live instrumentation. So he would have a band. He always had a band before me, and then like he'd get stuff together, and I'd be like, oh, I'm trying to do something at least as good as what he's doing. But like, I was like always as far as guitar based music or rock music, Nathan is to me very much what Todd is to me for electronic music. And so it made a lot of sense to me to take people that I have the most respect for in these genres and get them to help me, make the most polished product.
Yeah, we can't forget Nathan's also a very, very accomplished audio engineer and has a lot of knowledge about cabinets and amping and doing. So when we're doing electronic music, we do everything digitally. Everything's done on a computer, and it's all software based.
Except for the DeepMind now.
Except for the DeepMind, and when we're using analog equipment. But Nathan,
can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat of an expert on the digital sound design and audio engineering. Nathan is the same with analog and more vintage sound, which translates well into this genre of music. So
I've definitely gotten into the digital side of things too. Like, I definitely do a lot of sound design in the DAW too. Like, some of the processing I do is just digital. So it just depends on the situation and what the sound needs and what the song needs, And like going back to what you said about you worrying about things being too cluttered, having too much stuff on a song. I think that's a sign of good production too, is knowing when something's done and when to like cut things out, and I think you're great at that too.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm always making Alex cry when he's like, wait, I really like that sound, and then it gets muted, and he's like, oh no, and then a few seconds later it's gone. So he's like,
he's learned that a lot of times I'm not ready to delete something, so he'll be like, well, let's just mute it and we'll move it to the bottom, and I already know what that means. I know it's not coming back. He's like, if we don't find something better, we'll put it back. And we always do find something better. I mean, the production is much better for that, but my sentimental nature about like something we worked on is much stronger than he's ready to make it the best that it can be quickly and slaughter anything that isn't up to snuff.
Yeah, he's like, I really like that sound. I'm like, Alex, it's literally a fart sound. And he's just like, but it's a really good fart. I'm like, it's still a fart, dude.
Amber has been mentioned, and she has been an asset in a way that I didn't even expect with this project. But initially, I was recording vocals for Evil Arcade, which is the only track on the album that that has vocals. And I think that maybe next album we'll try a few more, but it took so long to process my vocals into something that was digestible for anyone else's ear, because I'm not really a singer per se. Nathan's much more the singer. And but then I wanted a female backup on that. And Amber for a long time ran our performance and dance team for Pulsar Productions, and she coordinated all the outfits and dancing for all the dancers that we had at those shows. And she's just known for being an eccentric performer in general. But I learned that she had been in choir for a lot of her life through high school, and then did a lot of singing afterwards. And so she asked if she could be the one to do that, and we tried it out, and I really loved her creativity with her vocals. She also adds a lot of performance to the actual live shows, in which she still maintains her performance dance like history with her outfits and her kind of energy. And I think synthwave shows sometimes lack some real like driving energy. People sometimes say that it's not really something that translates well live, and I think that is debatable. It depends on how much you put into your live show, and Amber helps us put a lot more into our live show, and we're doing a lot of vocal covers together on this tour, as well as her Evil Arcade. So I really appreciate her quite a bit.
Well, thank you for saying all that.
Yeah, you're a fantastic singer. When I was watching their debut show the other week.
Oh yeah,
it's like a week ago or something. Everyone worked really well together, and Amber was like belting out the notes, and it looked really good. It sounded really good. Yeah, there's going to be a good flow here for sure. So definitely something to look forward to on the tour. It's gonna be pretty impressive.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm really grateful that you gave me the opportunity, because we did work together a lot, and like as everyone knows, those 2 years were pretty rough on a lot of us. And I knew that you guys were getting into something, and I was just like, hey, like let me in, like what's up? Because I do love music, and I'm not great at like production, and I'm not great with computers, but I have a lot of heart, and I'm trying to go places. So the fact that like you've even given me this honor of performing with you and being a part of the album, it's just been really great, and I'm really excited for us all to go on this adventure.
Me too.
Me too.
Well, you've been doing more than that. When you're going on a tour, there's so much that needs to be coordinated that sometimes I'm actually understanding and learning about during this process, but it's been overwhelming for me to coordinate the release of this album, as well as the tour that's basically happening on top of it, as well as coordinating all the merch that we need for that. And Amber has turned out to be a crazy asset as far as like logically writing emails to other tour spots that I think we've added a Missoula, Montana show, and it looks like we may add up to 2 shows in Idaho, and a lot of that has to do with Amber taking over and like coordinating and like being really professional in how she sends emails, and she gets back to people right away, and in just a way that it would be difficult for me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yay, happy to help.
Yeah, Amber's really, and I mean, she's demonstrated she's very invested in this whole thing, and she's putting a lot of time and effort into it, and we appreciate her very much.
Well, it's been really cool to have a team. It's been so long since I've done a project where I have a team of people that are behind one musical project. Usually it's either me or it's just me and Todd, and like having the 4 of these wonderful musicians like being involved makes it gives me a little bit more motivation than I would if it was just for me. I find it easier to do things for other people than myself, and so there's kind of been a synergy there.
Anyway, I'm so glad to hear that you've got merch plans. What are we expecting as far as merch at the tables in Portland and Seattle?
Well, I certainly hope that I actually deliver all these things, but the plan is to have the first thing that we're going to have is 11 by 11 signed record inserts. Right now, the vinyl is supposed to be ready, and no fault on the wonderful Electronic Purification Records EPR on this, but the reason the album is coming out right now is because we actually gave EPR 6 months to produce the vinyl, and that was supposed to happen at the end of June. But as you, I'm sure, are aware, the vinyl processing, game is not always straightforward. And in this case, there was an unexpected turn that was not their fault at all. That is pushing production back to the mid-August.
It was who was it that released their album on vinyl and pushed everyone back? Whose fault was it?
Adele.
It was Adele.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adele. really
Can we
helpful.
just can they put her album on clearance and then we buy it and then we have it repressed into what we want on vinyl?
Yeah, there you
I mean,
go.
I don't care what color it is.
Yeah, you pick it up at a Dollar General, and then you can.
If you're looking for
Melt
the
it
new-
back down. Yeah.
like, recycle, okay? Just like make it.
Yeah.
I think that we will see the mainstream industry's understanding of what people want to do with vinyl, I think is potentially short-sighted, and the reasons people collect vinyl, and it's really interfering with most small-time vinyl production, because the thing about vinyl is that there aren't a lot of new pressing plants. A lot of them have been in business since the 80s or earlier, and they're using that equipment, and there's only a certain number of vinyl that can be produced per year. So when there's a lot of mainstream oversaturation, it makes it very hard for indie artists or low production artists to even get a vinyl release. So it's such on that note, it's actually such an honor that EPR and Rosa Corsa worked together to make sure that this does get released on vinyl, because that literally could have stopped the entire production this album from being released on Rosa Corsa. It was one of my requirements for them accepting the album, and it was a real struggle for a couple months figuring out if it was even possible.
So we're gonna have pre-sales for the vinyl if the vinyl is not available, right?
The thing we're having an insert for our deluxe edition vinyl records that you can put in. You'll be able to put it in right next to the sleeve once you finally get your vinyl. I think the price is going to be $30 on it, and it'll be signed by all 5 of us.
Nice.
There's only going to be 50 copies of that ever made, and we will put the download code for Bandcamp right on that insert, so you will get your immediate digital copy of the album, plus the special edition signed insert that will be only available to people that see us in person on tour. And then we will ship, if you're in the US, of course, we will ship the vinyl to you for free once I get the copies in my hand. It's
Nice.
a 180 gram colored vinyl. There's 2 formats. One is a red to orange sunset, and one is a orange to white sunset. Both are beautiful, and will be. I should have those in my hands by the end of August, I would think.
Awesome. Can't wait for that.
I'm super stoked. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to get my own
Oh
copy.
yes.
I think we all want to hold this in our hands. It's really really an interesting feeling to know that you've worked so hard on something, and to know there's a physical release coming out. This is a bucket list goal, to have something that is respected and produced on vinyl.
For sure.
And I put we all put the energy into it.
Well, yeah, because it's art, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
We also will have t-shirts that we will be pressing in different colors. I'm actually going to bring the t-shirt press to the shows, and you can select your size and color, and I'll teach the guys how to press them right in front of you. It'll be a real fun thing that goes
That'll
on
be
the
so
merch
cool.
booth. We should have 10 cassette, and we'll have 100 of the new special edition CDs. Now, there were some pre-release CDs. I know that you have one of them, and they're
Yeah.
signed just by me, and those are very special, as they're the first copies of them. We're printing another 100 though, and it'll include Gabriele's remix of DEFCON Zero, which is just an amazing piece of work in sort of a more chill wave. That CD will be signed by at least everybody in the touring band. And if I can make Todd sign a lot of CDs, he might sign some.
Awesome. I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah.
I've got the special first edition, but I'm going to have to, I want to buy this one with everybody's name.
We should have all the normal stuff too, like stickers and buttons and a tour poster. The tour poster is like something that Nathan's been working on, so that we can, if you just want the tour poster and our signatures, we have that as well.
That sounds cool. I love the t-shirt idea.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to, me and my wife have been making all the t-shirts for the Lightspeed Bureau's YouTube channel through a Chris Cut vinyl cutter for years. And I really kind of enjoy that kind of design aspect. This t-shirt went through many designs the last couple months, and it's actually a 3-color vinyl pressing. It's one of the more complicated vinyl pressings cut vinyl I've ever done, but it looks brilliant. It's got a picture of sort of a silhouette of the car, also the standard synthwave sunset being overrun by flying in Alex Lightspeed logo. And I think we all kind of discussed it quite a bit during the design process and settled on something that we were happy with. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We were still like debating colors, but I think we're fine with whatever you want to go with at this point as far as the design goes.
I'm going to bring multiple two colors, 2 color sets. One is going to be the cold colors, and so like blues and blacks and white. And then the other one's going to be hot colors like reds and oranges and yellows.
2 words. Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
It does kind of look like the old Taco Bell logo.
So let's see. You've got the one music video for Evil Arcade, and I know you're planning shows and you got a million things going on right now. I'm just curious if there's going to be any other music videos.
Oh yeah. Well, I would like there to be. I don't think that I'm going to be able to do another music video on this album at the same level of production as the Evil Arcade video. I've been definitely debating doing a sort of more simpler video for maybe one of the other tracks, but we're going to have to get through this tour and see, what happens there. But still in a little bit of debt from the production costs of doing that video. So I'd like to try to recover that first.
That makes sense. It just seemed like a lot of fun.
I think that a lot of people had fun. I don't know if I was one of them, but I really enjoy and I'm super proud of what we came up with. So, for me, a lot of times making things or the process of getting something done is filled with a little bit of anxiety and a little bit
frantic.
Of stress.
Oh yeah, especially with 3 hours of shoot time. That's how much time we had at the arcade.
Jeez.
We had 3 hours of shoot time, pretty decent outline, but I mean it was pretty much pure chaos. Plus we're working with like child actors and Titan and Finn are both in there, and getting Titan to cooperate. He's what, like how old is he?
He has just turned 5.
Just turned 5.
My son is in the video a lot, and to get him to repeatedly do things, which is what's required to do a video with lots of different angles and shots, he's just, well, but we just got in the car. Why am I getting in the car again? Let's go.
He did it. He ended up performing wonderfully after about an hour of tantrum, and then it ended up. We were right on the wire, though. I mean, we were filming. Probably went over about 10 minutes. Ground control where we filmed it was very cool and worked well with us. But they were like, come on, guys, like
yeah. Well, we had 15 or 20 extras, and we had taken over one side of the building with just like sort of a food area with coffee and like everything for people to hang out, and they were opening at noon, and so around 11:35 or so, we were supposed to be at 11:30. I sent a lot of the extras to clean up everything in one room while we begged for 10 more minutes of shoot time in the room with just me and Amber, and luckily we were able to run through without mistakes like 2 times, and those are the last shots we needed, including some of putting quarters in the machine, which were very essential.
It helped a lot that we had a really good videographer. Cyberdrips did all the filming and all the post editing, and then we we did the a lot of CGI and stuff after that. But he did a really incredible job. You know, obviously it couldn't happen without him. He was very patient and flexible and very professional. So that was the key right there. If it weren't for him, you know, it would have never gotten done. So
Shout out to Cyberdrops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, since we're talking about Evil Arcade, I gotta give a shout out to Charles, who helped us get the Tron machine running in time for the video.
oh yeah.
The staff there was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's a brilliant story. Like we, I when selecting the arcade machine that the child would come up to and then grow old and die playing, I really only had one that I truly wanted. I wanted to work. I've been obsessed with Tron for a long time. And we went into the arcade and there was no Tron machine, even though I knew that Ground Control had one. So me and Nathan, a couple months before, we talked to the lead technician and maintenance guy there, and he said, "Oh yeah, we're fully restoring that cabinet. It was almost destroyed. We've been restoring it for 6 months." And I was like, "Well, is it almost done?" And he's like, "We just have 2 pieces we need left in the mail, and then it'll be done." I said, "Well, how long? We're running out of time to get this video done." Like, he said, "We need 2 more weeks." And so we delayed shooting of the music video till the absolute last minute in order for them to rush to finish that Tron machine. And we were the first people to touch that machine other than the technicians. So it is literally looks like it just came off the factory floor in the 80s.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love Ground Control. I've been there one time when I visited Portland, and it's such a cool place. So your stops are in Portland, Seattle. You've got a Montana show now.
Spokane and Boise also.
Spokane and Boise. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for helping us promote this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And
Yeah.
thank you all for being on the show. I love these big party lines.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you all for being here.
And,
Can't wait to see you at the Seattle show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I hope it's a great tour for y'all. I hope it's lots of fun.
Thanks.
Me too.
Anytime you're with some people that are some of your best friends and you're doing something that's really a moment in time, I think you just gotta, however it happens, you gotta appreciate that you even have the opportunity.
Definitely. Well, thanks you guys once again. And we'll see you in Portland and then Seattle.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks for having us.
Great. And I want to thank all the listeners, too, for tuning in and hanging out. Everybody, have a good night.
Good night.